Are you friendly to the point where you can gently rib your buddy Jonathan when his Amazing Men's Health cover comes out? Because
I
friends
mean,
have to send interesting
literally,
texts after that
literally,
comes
I
out.
was like at the airport, and I'm like, I thought I worked out enough, and then I see, and I'm like flying here, and I see his cover. I'm like, damn it!
Yeah.
Oh
I
no!
had my Wetzel pretzel and I sadly put it down.
As he puts the pencil down, and he looks into Jonathan.
Oh, man.
We don't need to really say anything.
It's a sore
No.
point. We don't want to talk about it, Jonathan. I just brought it up
We want to
because
stay
we're all
friends.
upset.
We want to stay friends.
You know?
You don't look in the sun. You don't stare at those photos for too long. Yeah.
No, I understand. Yeah. Congratulations on the film, guys. I've seen it twice. It may or may not have made me cry.
We're here for your tears, man.
It's a powerful piece of work. For those that don't know, this is Devotion tells the true story of naval aviators back in 1950. Jonathan, you play Jesse Brown, who was the first African-American U.S. Navy pilot. Talk to me about, for you guys, watching this film. Do you get caught up emotionally watching the story in the finished product? Can you lose yourself in this story?
Personally, definitely. I think watching just these two guys on camera is inspiring, but also they did a brilliant job of bringing these two people back to life. And I think honoring the legacy that was and is. And, you know, all day we're talking about this story and how it's so impactful, but also the fact that it's not told enough, or it was the first I heard of it when the book was passed my way. And it's just like, you definitely can still feel the raw emotion when you watch something. I think obviously for me personally, it's always tough to watch yourself on camera or on film, but you are the toughest critic in the room. But I think I can only speak, I think, to these two that they crush it. And that's why I like to be in the middle. I'm in a nice
You're
little
the buffer.
sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just
trying
to grab
Sandwich.
Wingman sandwich.
Yeah.
just trying to suck the talent out of both sides, just kind of like grab it.
No, we're actually taking it from him.
You know, in Avatar, the thing, yeah.
Joe mentions legacy, honoring the legacy of these real men. Jonathan and Glenn, you guys play these real heroes that really had a very significant, important bond. When you're on set, do you let that go, the kind of the legacy part of it, the honoring the legacy kind of thing? Or, I mean, because you have to tell just a dramatic, great, emotional story. Does that weigh on you if you're on set thinking about, oh my God, I'm carrying the burden of these real men that lived, or is it helpful?
I would say that it's yes and. That for me, the pressure of, you know, real story, trailblazers, legacy, friendship, devotion, you know, all of that was the fuel to get, I'll say, us into it. You know, that was what was inspiring. But what I witnessed and also how I like to operate is on the day, you know, you have all that, but it's a matter of being extremely present, you know,
Right.
and I'm literally not thinking about the next scene or the next blocking or whatever the hell it is. You know, I'm literally thinking about the next word and being locked into this individual. And from that comes all of the, you know, quote unquote emotions or moments or the gravitas of the piece manifest between us because of that level of presence. And to me, I think that's the best thing you can do for art in general, but especially for this piece, because these men were living at such high stakes. I mean, you can probably remember for yourself at any moment, if you begin to sprint down a hallway, you're not thinking about, oh God. All you're thinking about is get your ass down the hallway. You know what I mean? These guys are thinking about get this plane in the air, or is this man going to kill me in the air or not? You know, can I trust this guy? You know, am I going to get home to my, you know, they are so present in the moment. And that is kind of the, you know, electricity between them. That's also what stops us from making, you know, a mothballed, boring period piece. I think that's one of the many traps we evade in the piece, that it is right now. You know, this film is happening right now. This story is happening right now, which helps the themes resonate, you know, long past the 1950s to, you know, what is it, Saturday? Saturday 2022.
Yeah. Keeping it alive, keeping it present. Yeah, totally. I got it.
I think that's another interesting thing is every single cast member on this put everything they had into every moment of this, but you can conceptualize a character, you can build stuff together, you can talk about literary references and poetry and art and all these different things and how it all fuels into that. But at the end of the day, it ends up just becoming a ground war where you're looking across from the guy across from you and you guys go, hey, how can we make this scene the best? Yeah. Once you start a movie, it's wild, the inertia. Yeah. It's just every day is a new battle, a new bit of focus, and then you kind of lift your head up at the end of it and you're like, okay, we all survived. I hope that was good. And I think the thing that I'm really proud of here is that inertia never stopped. No one ran out of steam. And this is a story that kept everybody moving and everybody going all the way through. And so that ground war that we all shared together was always so satisfying because we got to the end of every day and we won. Yeah. You know, we won the war.
You put it well. I mean, like the camaraderie that you have to feel, the energy, the electricity, the reality has to work between these three men and indeed the larger ensemble. And this is the age-old question, but I think it's particularly important here is like, how does that get established? Like, do you guys spend time prior to the shooting getting to know each other, or does that just get built day one in terms of what the relationships are going to be?
I'll say this. Joe was definitely our social chair.
Yeah. Okay.
He would host Mafia nights. He and Sophie would host Mafia nights. It got heated. It got competitive, but I really think that the distrust in that room created trust on screen.
There you go.
Yeah,
absolutely. Great game.
And I think like, that time that you spend, obviously when the camera's not rolling, I think all of us, whether we're in it or not, being able to just be together and know that the story that we're telling deserves that. These guys, to your point, they were on these carrier decks in very tight, confined quarters. You're each other's enemies, friends, family. And we had to portray that as best as we could.
The 32s essentially were, I'll say it, tell me if you disagree, Glenn. I think we're essentially quarterbacked by Marty Good. I saw it, because we all have our process, and as you saw in the film, Jesse he's kind of on the outside, though very much a part of the group, but on the outside. So I watched from, the outside in Savannah, these strangers come together and kind of hang out, and I received messages like, hey, and I was like, well, I want to kick it with you, but I gotta do this, you know what I mean? But I could feel Joe kind of bring everybody together, which was so helpful come day one when he's the new guy in the group, in the film. Right. Tom shows up, he's a new guy. Joe established, we used to call them etudes in drama school, right? Where you essentially do the play outside of the, And so I thought Joe could have gone to Yale. You know what I mean? Like he's essentially having these guys do etudes and build this bond. And so when I come in, I'm actually on the outskirts of something that's very real, but still in it enough to make sure he's the outsider. So that first scene, when you see all of us together, the first 12 minutes of our picture, everyone's running around, the nucleus of the 32s was Marty Good. And he kind of built that, which is a huge gift because that's something it's out of my purview as Jesse to kind of try to help with that, so. Well, good job, bro. It's the glue that keeps us together.
It all starts with Mafia night. That's how you bring it all together, man. That's the secret.
There you go.
It's really fascinating because, like, when I knew I was going to talk to you, this trio in particular, and I was thinking about your backgrounds and how you got to this place, they almost couldn't be more disparate and fascinating in each respect. And I'm wondering if you guys talk through that because you're all you've been all in the game for a while. And you're all at really cool points in your life and career. There's a different attitude and pressure, I feel like, sometimes when you're 22 and just getting going, and it's like, I need to make it all happen today. I don't know. Have you guys compared notes about sort of where you're at in lives and career, and marveled at kind of oh, this is an interesting moment for all of us that we all come together?
I think, when we do stuff like this, obviously as a rollout of a film, it's a long process, and a month goes by and somebody's so different from the last time you saw them, and it's kind of a beautiful thing. So I feel like there is this gratitude that I have with a project like this where you actually are friends, and we all know how it is. Sometimes you go and it's work, and sometimes you go and you leave there and go all right, this is family for life. And you're excited, we just looked at each other like, you guys going to the dinner later? There's
I'll go if you go.
There's a difference, and that matters. And we are grown men in our 30s. 10 years ago, I'd be a different person. So I think
10 minutes ago, Joe would have been a different person.
10 minutes ago.
He's evolving as we speak, as we watch him.
Pretty unstable as a person.
Really unstable.
Joe was so immature at the start of this interview, but right now I've seen such growth.
Oh, don't look him in the eyes. Oh, that'll set him off.
Exactly.
We mentioned the bonding of Mafia. Does music extend through all three of you? I know the guy in the middle has some chops. We know this. Are you guys interested in forming a new boy band with Joe Jonathan and Glenn? Just if he needs another band, just to.
Are we going to be auditioning for the Jonas Brothers? The answer is yes.
Well, I've actually had my callback.
You have a callback already.
I have a callback.
My agent hasn't called me
I'm
yet,
not actually a part of the audition.
I'm sure I'll get it.
I'm not a part of the audition process, so
He has to stay removed. Yeah, he has to stay removed. Yeah,
for legal reasons.
But I'm in the second.
Second tier.
Yeah.
Joe, of course, has a great song on the soundtrack here that plays in the end credits. Joe, how did that happen? Was that an organic kind of experience?
Well, after the film was done, JD reached out and asked if I would take a stab at writing the end credit song, which obviously, thank you, that's crazy. But yeah, I'll give it a try. But I'd love to see the film. Even though I know what I'm watching, it's just different to see it on screen and find some inspiration. So I asked Ryan Tedder to join me, and we watched the movie. We watched it at the San Vicente Bungalows, where they have a grand piano in the room. And right after the credits were rolling, Ryan and I kind of walked over, and Ryan just started playing these 3 chords that we felt were quite haunting. And as Jesse's letter is being written on screen, I think JD was able to capture it on video. So he caught this video of us actually starting the process of writing what would become Not Alone. And then I reached out to Harv and Khalid, and we finished the tune. And it's been a really emotional experience. Somebody asked me earlier, like, was it really exciting to do it? And I was like, it was really emotional, to be honest. Just like probably a comparison of the acting side of things. But I've had the pleasure of writing for TV and film before, but I've never been this close to something. So I think that's what makes the difference, is like being with these guys, being on set, meeting the families, like you just are rocked. So obviously, like, how do you even think about writing something like this? So I'm really proud of it.
It occurs to me, we haven't talked about just the aerial sequences, which are remarkable in this and so well done. And you guys, and especially Glenn, having done this a couple times, could probably like write the book on cockpit acting, the art of how to act with your face obscured, with kind of just jockeying back and forth. I don't know. I mean, what would you say to an actor before they jump into something like this, where they have to really emote in a very unusual environment? Is there a special kind of, I don't know, path or talent to doing that?
Honestly, cockpit acting, I think, really comes to, like, we're in real planes, right? So if you're talking about these old warbirds that we're flying in, we flew in the back of a T-6 Texan, a Sea Fury. We're flying low level in Savannah, Georgia, very fast. And it doesn't require much acting when there's a visceral experience, when you smell like gasoline and you're ripping and roaring, past seagulls. The thing I was most impressed with Jonathan was this idea that I had. I'm a licensed pilot. I fly around quite a bit myself. Obviously did a lot of flying on Top Gun, but how quickly these guys came into that process and made it look effortless. I thought I had my thing, and then they showed me up, and got to find something else, I guess.
My 2 cents on cockpit acting. There's no, like, the plane is giving back to you, right? Like it's making you do that, but there are moments where you're connecting to your wingman, in the air, in the middle of it. And if you don't have it on the ground, you're literally just looking over at them. You know what I mean? There's moments, the moment where we put you in command.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Where we're flying into our mission. We're all there, and all of a sudden we go, okay, Tom, you're up. You've got it now. We all hear that. If we don't have the package built, we don't have the relationships built on the ground, when that comes in, when we hear that, we don't know what, you get stuck with egg on your face, but you look over and that relationship is very clear. What needs to be done, what action, in acting language needs to happen is very clear. He's looking over. I know him so well that if this brow does that, I go, oh, we're in trouble. If he does that, I go, oh, it's on. You know what I mean? And we have a moment where I go, boom, and he goes, and that's all that needs to be said, right. Or expressed. You don't get those moments without having the ground school.
No, that's a great way to phrase it. But the thing about it is, you really don't have the ability to interact air to air and have full scenes. You're interacting by yourself, but you do have to be so connected with what that other person is doing. Yeah. You're reacting. I'm reacting to your performance, even though your performance is next to me, but I actually can't hear you. Yeah. Right. So there's this interesting thing where you have to have done all the research and all the stuff connected, and we have to be here and here, for that to be effective. And, Jonathan Majors always adds depth to anything. Stop.
Keep this guy around. You guys all respectively have so much cool stuff going on, both this film and outside of it. I want to briefly mention a couple things. Obviously, we mentioned Top Gun, which has made a gajillion dollars officially now. How often do the texts go to Tom Cruise saying, "Where's Top Gun Hangman? Where's the spin-off movie? Are you just
You're
playing
saying,
cool?"
Do I send that to Tom?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No, I look, if that is above my pay grade. If you want to call me back to Miramar, I'll be there, but that is up to Mav himself.
Fair enough. Jonathan is basically taking over the world, as we know, day by day, and 2023 is going to be even bigger, it seems like. I saw you at Comic-Con when I got to show you the logo for the Kang Dynasty for the first time. That was a moment you were geeking out. I love that. Between then and now, have you learned much more about what's in store for you? I mean, we obviously are going to see you in Ant-Man, but have you had a chance to talk to Destin and Feige about what Kang Dynasty is all about, or are you kind of like still a little bit unaware?
God, you having a problem with the connection?
I think the
Oh
connection.
God! you could have cut me off earlier.
He must be in like Bali or something.
I lost that.
Instead of letting me rant for a minute, Jonathan, you could have been the nice thing and said, "I'm just not going to answer."
It would have been as fun. It would have been.
Let me try a little thing on Creed, because I did talk to Coogler the other day, who said your performance in this is going to blow us away. And word on the street is I might even be rooting for you against Michael B, even though you're presumably the antagonist in the film. Have you seen the finished product? What are you feeling about what you were able to do with Michael B in Creed 3?
Oh, Mike did a spectacular job directing it. I don't think anybody is as equipped to shoot a Creed film as he is. You know, he's got a great grasp on the world. He took some really big swings, and I think he executed. I haven't seen it, obviously, but you know, very much like Devotion. You know, I haven't watched Devotion from top. I don't watch I prefer not to watch the films. But I do know what it felt like. I do know what it felt like dealing with Marty Good, Joe, Tom Hutner, Glenn. You know, I know what it is I know what it was, the spirit that we were trying to capture in Creed. And I know that they gave me, you know, to blend genres, the runway to knock it out. So I'm glad to hear Brother Coog say that, and we'll see where it's at. You know, with all of them, we'll see how it goes.
Runway to knock it out.
Yeah.
Come on.
Runway to knock it out.
It's not your headline for this article. I don't know. It could
Runway to knock it out.
Joe, you know I'm gonna have to return my MTV ID if I don't ask you about a Jonas Brothers album. What's the latest? What do I need to know? What timeline? Where are we at?
You gotta return your IDs. Features, you know, I got these boys on it. Or one of them. Yeah, not sure of the timeline just yet. But the album's done. So that's all I can really say right now. I'm really happy, like dying to share it. So now just kind of sitting and waiting for Taylor and Drake to take a break, and then somebody else can, I don't know.
Give us some space. Come on. Any adjectives you'd like to assign to it? What can we expect? Anything? Nothing?
I'm really proud. I think it's probably my favorite body of work we've done. So,
all right, there's a tease. Nice. And last thing for you guys, look, I know the Powell family runs deep at premieres, on sets, etc. Who had the most representation, either at the premiere or on set? Were there more Powells around, Jonases around, Majors around? Was it a family affair for everybody?
I think the Powell's probably won it out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Powell's won it out.
Yeah,
they are reigning champs.
Yeah, reigning champs. I've always overstayed their welcome.
But you know what? It was I think one of the coolest things was seeing some of the the Brown family showing up to set, the Hutner family showing up to set. Like that's trippy. Like where Tom Hutner's bringing his dad's real metal to set. And stuff that you're like, how grateful are we that we get to actually have people like that there? I mean, it's also a little nerve-wracking, but it's also cool because you're like, this is a story that is in real time, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is the real Tom Hutner's son is actually in a Medal of Honor ceremony, is standing behind me in the Medal of Honor ceremony, and I'm wearing Tom Hutner, the guy I'm playing in the movie, his real medal in the movie, which to feel the weight of that is wild, and to feel the legacy behind me, that was a hard day to describe for sure.